Cool. Hey, everybody. We're going to get started in just a minute, but we'd love to know if this is your first happy hour joining us, or if you've attended one before. So we have the comments or the little group chat going on. So if you want to leave us a message in there, letting us know how many of these you've attended so far, we'd really appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay, you do, Peg.
I'm here.
I don't know anyone anymore.
Cool. We're going to get going then. So first, I want to say Happy Earth Day, everybody. We're so excited for you all to join us for the third Washington Wild virtual happy hour and the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. We're pretty excited about this series we've been doing, and I think that we've had a really great week so far. We've talked about the Wild Olympics. We've talked about the Skagit headwaters. Tonight, we're going to be going into the Methow headwaters and the Land and Water Conservation Fund. So we're really, really stoked about that. So we're going to kind of start this off with, a short video about Washington Wild and the history of the organization. Then we're going to dig into our, Brewshed partner highlight that we're going to have. And then we're going to actually be doing two videos tonight, one on each of the program areas, and, have some discussion around that, hear from some Washington Wild staff. So yeah, it should be a good happy hour once again. And I just want to let you know that once again, we are going to do a Q&A at the end. So feel free to leave, a question or comment in the group chat, and we'll get to them at the end. So yeah, enjoy the video.
On a September evening in 1979, a handful of conservation activists met at the College Inn in Seattle's University District. Hours later, a new organization was born, Washington Wilderness Coalition.
So I've lived in Washington State for 30 years, and it is a diverse state in that it has the Pacific Ocean, mountains, rainforests, deserts, lakes, rivers. Washington Wild is a local organization that protects all of that for all of us. And that is why I'm a proud volunteer for the Washington Wild organization.
Today known as Washington Wild, over the past 40 years, the organization has led efforts to protect nearly 3 million acres of designated wilderness throughout Washington State.
I'm Yvonne Krause. I'm the Executive Director of the Evergreen Mountain Bike Alliance. We, as mountain bikers, have been working with Washington Wild on a very unique challenge of wanting to support wilderness and supporting that in Washington State, and at the same time losing access when we do so. So it's a unique challenge for us as mountain bikers. It's a very rare partnership with Washington Wild. We've been able to make that happen together, looking at wilderness boundaries, looking at trail alignments, looking at what gives us the best access for both mountain bikers and resource protection. It's very unique. It's been a very treasured partnership, and I look forward to that partnership for 40 more years.
Washington Wild brings people together in the vigorous defense of our remaining ancient forests, free-flowing rivers, wildlife habitat, and clean air and water.
My name is Brian Clattisby, chairman of the Swinomish tribe, and when Swinomish partnered with Washington Wild, we knew it was going to be a good fit to oppose this mining in the headwaters of the Skagit River, which is the only one in the lower 48 that still has every species of wild salmon still spawning in its tributaries. And in 7 generations, our kids need to be standing here telling the same story to those that need to know.
While much has changed over the past 40 years, our national parks, forests, and other public lands are under increasing threats from unregulated mining, new dam construction, and other development.
You must have good quality water to make good quality beer. Being a craft brewer and a fairly small craft brewer compared to the big breweries, we're reliant on producing a quality, consistent product. So locally, we try and do a lot to keep our river clean and pure. And working with Washington Wild, it just helps to expand that throughout the state to keep our natural resources pure. And as a brewery, it's just so important.
Key to their success is building powerful grassroots networks and winning coalitions around protecting our public lands and wild places.
The mission of Washington Wild to make sure that we preserve low areas where families can have access and for salmon spawning is really critical over the coming 50 years, because that's the kind of wilderness that we will be able to use for generations to come. Washington Wild does a great job that's very unique. It brings together communities, different partnerships to be able to establish the road to get wilderness through Congress. It's not easy to pass legislation. You have to bring people in a community together, different organizations, bring together a whole coalition of people to get the kind of energy to get legislation through Congress. That's what Washington Wild does uniquely and very well.
Join me in supporting Washington Wild's leadership in protecting and defending our local wild lands and waters today and for the next 40 years.
Cool. I hope you all enjoyed that. So next, we're actually going to hear from Pamela, who is featured in that video. Pamela's with Ice School Brewing Company in Leavenworth, and they've been a long-time supporter and member of our Brewshed Alliance. So the Brewshed Alliance is a group of brewers, maltsters, hop growers, pubs, restaurants that help us advocate for protections of these wild lands. So they do a lot of different things for us, including fundraising events. They sign on to comment letters to push our campaigns forward. They give their patrons a chance to engage through postcard signings. They donate beer. We do beer collaborations with them, and things like in-kind gifts to our larger events. And it's a really great way for us to be, creative in action with these, awesome partners. So I'm gonna turn it over to Pamela. Make sure you're unmuted real fast. Cool.
Hi.
How you doing?
So good. Cheers. That was a great video and such a younger version of myself. It shows me how long we've been a Brewshed partner. I think that was probably, I think the video was in like 2014, maybe 2000. I was trying to gauge by the length of my hair. But I think we definitely were a founding member of the Brewshed Alliance, and it just really spoke to me as a brewery owner that your #1 ingredient in beer is water, and so clean water is crucial for quality beer. And also living in Leavenworth and seeing how many families come to get away from the routines and technology, and they get to come enjoy nature and we just really appreciate all that Washington Wild has done to protect the Alpine Lakes Wilderness area. I wanted to show you this. This is actually our newest beer, Enchantments Hazy IPA, and it's actually you can see the enchantments there, and you guys help protect that so that everyone in Washington and around the world can come in and enjoy that in a very respectful way. And I'm just really proud of all that Washington Wild does, and I'm proud to be a Brewshed member. We're also a 1% for the Planet partner along with Washington Wild. And, you know, I'm the president of the Washington Brewers Guild, and we say all the time that beer is bipartisan. And I say the same thing about the environment, that it's all in all of our best interest to protect our lands and our waters. And yeah. So I think that I just really appreciate all that everyone has done to support the brewing industry during this time, and thanks for supporting your local retail establishments. We're celebrating I'm actually at the brewery, it's closed right now, but you know, hopefully we can safely open up soon and enjoy beer together. And in the meantime, we're celebrating our 9th anniversary this week. On Friday, we're actually launching our shipping on our website, so we can ship beer to Washington State residents. But we do encourage you to first and foremost support your local retailers that carry our beer, and we just want to offer another way to bring good beer to your home for your enjoyment, and hopefully everyone's staying happy and healthy and sane and safe during all of this. So thanks for having me here tonight.
Awesome. Thanks, Pamela. We really appreciate you joining us tonight, and that can looks super cool. I'm excited to drink that when it makes it out into the world. So I'm going to turn it over to our executive director now, Tom, who's going to talk about the Methow headwaters.
Great. Hey, thanks, Chris. And thanks, Pam. It's great to see you. So happy Earth Day, everybody. So it's a big day, obviously, for all of us conservation-minded folks. Today, we've got a double feature for you, two issues, but they are connected. These are really two of the biggest accomplishments in Washington State recently. They were both part of an omnibus land package in March of 2019 that actually, passed the House and Senate and was signed by the president, which is not a small deal. So we're going to talk about both of those. The first video that I want to introduce is on the Methow headwaters. Many of you, I'm sure, have been to the Methow Valley. It's a really popular, beloved place. And in 2014, there was a mining company that wanted to exploratory drill and potentially to open up open pit mine up in the Methow Valley and the headwaters. That did not go over very well with local residents and people who care about that place. I know in 2014, Washington Wild sent a comment letter, and then a local coalition was born called the Methow Headwaters Campaign, which has been really there on point from the beginning. The Methow Valley Citizens Council is a local organization that does really great work, and the Wilderness Society as well is a good partner of ours. 5 years later, they actually got to ring the bell and realized a 340,000 acre mining ban on the headwaters of the Methow Valley, which is just absolutely amazing. 5 years may sound like a long time, but when you're talking about Congress, that's actually pretty quick. So kudos to them. The reason they were successful in large part were because of the local folks that call the Methow Valley home, the businesses, the people that have lived there for generations. They really, put a fight to that and ended up really accomplishing something that we're all super happy that it ended up this way. So we're going to watch a video that they produced after the big accomplishment, and then we'll pivot to the next video. So enjoy.
my family's lived in this valley for over 13,000 years. People in this valley can talk about 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 generations. That's 500 generations. Now, if we pollute this valley, it's going to be hundreds of generations before it's ever righted, if it's ever righted. You're ready to step off a cliff once you start that process that you can't unfall.
So with the stroke of the president's pen, we achieved a mineral withdrawal of over 340,000 acres in the upper Methow watershed, the Methow headwaters. And the Methow headwaters sits right in the middle of over 2 million acres of protected wilderness. It's the largest block of protected wilderness in the lower 48 states. We don't have to worry about the threat of industrial scale mining, and that's a huge accomplishment. It's a very large mineral withdrawal. It's a historic moment for the Methow Valley, truly.
It is really noteworthy because of the scale of it, and it is incredibly noteworthy in terms of the unanimity of support that it got. And I think people will look to that and say, wow, why did that happen? How did that happen?
I think in the American West, there's a realization that our economy, the core of our economy in regions across our country, is rooted in access to public lands.
I like to refer to our economy as an "and" economy. We do agriculture here. We do forestry here. We have recreation-based businesses, tourism-based businesses. And it's because we have all of those different sectors that we have a pretty healthy local economy.
The celebration is the fact that we're able to keep doing what we're doing, which doesn't cause any harm to the land. It's a very simple answer for me. It's about as simple as I can get with it. This needs to be kept and maintained the way it is, Methow Valley.
I was actually shocked by the number of people at the barn when I got there. I was anticipating 20 or 30 people at a public hearing, and to see all those people and to feel from those people their collective energy and support. And I knew a lot of people in that room, and I knew they were from different walks of life and different businesses and incomes, but they had a common goal.
You had people from the grassroots level all the way up to our representative and senators working together to get this done.
The local governments all came together here. Our job is to work and partner with, of course, state and federal government as well. And so that's exactly what happened here. I think that the success story is the fact that, the system in this case did exactly what I think we're here to do, and that is to represent the people. And I think that you can see that the bipartisanship that came out of it at the federal level is a testament of the fact that the people were heard here, and we succeeded together.
So what's next? Clearly, we've got to celebrate. Like, the first thing we have to do as a community is come together to celebrate this victory, to look around in that same room that brought us together originally and say, we did it. And by celebrating, we are then building the foundation for whatever is going to be needed in the future to stand up for and protect the Methow Valley.
It's really important that we continue to tell the stories of these successes so that as more and more people come here, whether to live or to visit, that they understand that the Methow isn't this way by accident. It has required a whole community for decades and decades caring and acting on behalf of this incredible place.
So far. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be the guy who comes in here and tries to muck things up. No, it's a tough bunch.
All right. So that that's a nice video. Just a really big accomplishment. 340,000 acres. That is nothing to underlook there. The next video is about another really huge conservation accomplishment that actually happened in the same piece of legislation in March of 2019. And I always find this one, it's the Land and Water Conservation Fund. And I always find it a little hard to kind of talk about. It has to do with funding, and it's a little more complicated because it's not a place. But the video we're going to watch is by someone who I've never met. She goes by Can't Stop Katie, and she does like a little really quick rant about issues that she cares about, and it's really cool. I think she's really summarized it, and certainly better than I can. She got all of her information from the Land and Water Conservation Fund Coalition, which Washington Wild is a member of. And I know Joanna Grist is joining us tonight. She is the former chair, or maybe still very much a leader in that coalition. So glad to have her here. But the Land and Water Conservation Fund, what you need to know about that is that this is a program that Congress set aside to take a very small portion of the offshore oil and gas royalties from that activity and to actually reinvest it, which I think makes a lot of sense to me, into conservation and recreation projects. So that is authorized to be up to $900 million a year. This was in 50 years ago, so 1968. What happened a few years back was that the reauthorization of that Land and Water Conservation Fund was up in Congress, and it was not moving forward for all the usual reasons, unfortunately. And Senator Cantwell and others and this coalition kind of really came together to really push for that reauthorization, and in fact to push for a permanent authorization, so not every 5 years will we have to go through this cycle. And that was actually what happened in this piece of legislation. This act is permanently authorized, which means that we don't have to go back every 5 years and ask to get it reauthorized. And we'll talk about later, once that passed, what we're working on now is to actually try to get it funded. So there's a separate process that actually funds that up to $900 million. And that's what we want to get in there. Sometimes that's been zero, sometimes that's been 40 million, but it is rarely, if ever, been 900 million. So with that, I'm gonna let Katie, talk quicker than I can, and feel free to throw any questions out while you're watching. So go ahead and roll it, Chris.
Ever heard of the Grand Canyon or heard of people walking the Appalachian Trail? Well, come September 30th, the federal fund that helped preserve those amazing places is going bye-bye, and the remaining open spaces across the U.S. could be in big, big trouble. Stick around and I'll tell you why and how you can help. welcome back to Can't Stop Katie. Today we're talking about something super, super important. It's not sciencey or anything, it's actually political, and we need your help with it. So to explain, let's wind it back to 1965, when Congress started noticing that our national parks were getting a little overcrowded. So they created the Land and Water Conservation Act, which gives the government the ability to buy private lands in order to preserve them and make them open for public recreation. Okay, so here's the kicker. The fund is expiring at the end of this month. September 30th, people, it's gone, and tons of open spaces across our country are in serious, serious peril. I mean, the fund has done so much for us since 1965. It's helped conserve more than 5,000 acres of land and helped fund more than 41,000 state and local park projects. Some notable ones include Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado, Mount Rainier National Park in Washington, and MacArthur Park in LA. But that's not all. It also helps protect historical monuments like the Flight 93 Memorial and a lot of Civil War battlefields like Gettysburg and Vicksburg. Personally, as a big-time climber, whitewater rafter, and hiker, this fund is super important because it gives people like me and you access to amazing lands for unbelievable adventures. The coolest part about this is how it's funded. Us taxpayers pay $0. Instead, Congress decided to put the burden on the big bad energy companies like Shell. Every time one of these companies does offshore drilling in the outer continental shelves to get access to oil and gas, they have to pay royalties to the government, and a portion of that is set aside for the Land and Water Conservation Fund. What a cool idea, right? Make those who contribute to harming the environment pay to conserve it. But even with how generally awesome this fund is, Congress hasn't exactly been doing what they said they would do with it, which is weird because politicians never lie, right? Since this fund was enacted, only 45% of the money that was supposed to go to the fund has actually gone to it. This equals over $17 billion that could have gone to protecting our beautiful outdoors. So here comes some good news. 2 bills have been introduced to Congress this year that would not only permanently reauthorize the Land and Water Conservation Fund, but also stop that horrible funneling of money to other sources. But y'all know how bills work.
I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill.
There's no guarantee that these will actually turn into laws, which means the fund will disappear forever. We still need more congressmen to become team players. So here's what you can do. Contact your representative. I know that sounds super broad and ineffective, but trust me, it works. The more voices they hear from their constituents, the more likely they are to vote for the bill. Below in the description, I put a link to contactingthecongress.org, which offers a really simple step-by-step way of how to reach out to your representative. Even if you don't want to go that far, you can at least sign the petition like I did/am doing in this vicinity over here. I provided a link down below as well. It takes less than 30 seconds and costs you $0 unless you would like to donate to the cause. I also provided a lot of other information and links below, especially to the Land and Water Conservation Coalition, which is where I got the majority of this information. Okay guys, thanks for tuning in. Let's talk about this stuff in the comments below. I want to hear about all your adventures across the country and all the beautiful places you've been to. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, I put out new sustainability videos every Tuesday, so click here on this button to subscribe. Okay, sayonara guys, see you next week.
Cool. I hope you guys all enjoyed these videos. Now I'm gonna shoot it over to my colleague Evan, who's gonna talk to you for a couple minutes. Cool. Are you there, Evan?
I am.
Awesome.
Hello, everyone. Happy 50th Earth Day anniversary. My name's Evan. I'm the Director of Development here at Washington Wild. First of all, Pam, thank you for joining us tonight. I know you've been making your rounds in the virtual world because I watched you on the Washington Beer Blog Facebook Live yesterday. So thank you for making the time for us. And to everybody else who is celebrating with us tonight, thank you, and we miss you. You know, we would much rather, you know, be seeing everybody in person, but actually these online events actually gives us a great opportunity to engage with more people all over the state. Because our campaigns are everywhere, and we know we have supporters everywhere. So it's actually been pretty fun and interesting just being able to connect with so many people around. So our Washington Wild, you know, community is so generous. You're adventurous, you're inspiring to us as a staff, and we're so excited that you know, spent your time on Earth Day to join us. And we are very proud of the work, that we've had on preserving the Methow Valley headwaters and the importance of the Land and Water Conservation Fund. So as we mentioned in the beginning video, we've been doing this work for over 40 years. But not only that, we are only a staff of 6 people. So we do a lot with, not a huge staff, but our community support is massive. So as we deliver this message to you from our homes and we're practicing our social distancing, we hope that this happy hour inspired you as we look towards the future and getting back to our favorite places, sharing these wildlands and waters with our loved ones and protecting them for future generations. So as a local environmental organization, we know our work is super important and it also needs to be sustained. So we have set a goal this week throughout our virtual happy hour of getting 50 donors to donate to us in honor of the 50th anniversary. And we also have this really awesome opportunity with a gift match of $2,500 thanks to some board members and major donors. So anything that you donate up to that amount will be doubled, which is fantastic for us. And, as you're thinking about, your contribution and just some of the people that have donated to us this week, I just wanted to give some thank yous of some of the donations that had come in just as recent as yesterday. Tim Manns and Brenda Cunningham are huge advocates and supporters of us. They're in Mount Vernon, and I reached out to Tim, and Tim just said, Brenda and I support Washington Wild because we feel keeping rivers and streams clean and wildlands wild is so important. For 40 years, Washington Wild has been very effective at fighting to protect what's best in natural Washington and in bringing together many voices to support this common cause. And another one of our supporters, Harriet from the Seattle area, she gives because once our wild spaces have been compromised, there is no going back. It's critical that we work fast to permanently protect wild lands for our future generations. Washington Wild does vital work identifying these places and then working to build coalitions of local communities and agencies to give a voice in Congress for their protection. Its proven effectiveness stems from 4 decades working hard to build relationships and trust with these various groups of people. Washington Wild is small but mighty, and they leverage my donations to create lasting protection for large expanses of Washington's most precious places. So again, our work is driven by you, and we definitely recognize that things are different right now and challenging for many. And so if you are able, please make a donation that's meaningful for you. You can do that on our website at wawild.org, so wowwild.org. So thank you again for joining us. Stay safe out there, and I will send it back to Chris.
Cool, thanks, Evan. So now we're gonna do a quick Q&A. If anyone has any questions, they can do it in the group chat. So I'm gonna turn over to Tom, and I guess to kind of get this going, I'm gonna ask him. So we kind of talked about some of these great conservation accomplishments today. So with these 2 issues, what can people do? Like, what are the next steps?
Right. So on that first issue, the Methow headwaters, so that was obviously a big victory. Right now, I think what is always really helpful to do is to actually thank the politicians. Our entire delegation actually voted for that omnibus land bill. So we have an alert that is on our Take Action page on our website that allows you to quickly send a thank you to your senators and your representative if you're in Washington State, thanking them for voting for that. Thank yous are really kind of fuel for politicians. They always hear what people don't like, what they should be doing and they're not doing, and they actually don't always hear thank you for what you did do. So it really does matter, and we have a number of folks in our delegation that really helped out. On the Land and Water Conservation Fund, we have an alert as well up there to thank folks and encourage them for passing this bill as well. I know that if you go to the Land and Water Conservation Fund Coalition, if you Google that, there are more specific actions right now. I mean, obviously Congress is back and forth, but basically what we're doing now is the fund is permanently authorized, but we need to get it funded up to hopefully that 900 million, as you know, Katie was talking about really fast, that's not what's happening right now. And so that's the push right now. And the Land and Water Conservation Fund Coalition page will have the latest and greatest opportunities to do that.
Cool. Thanks, Tom. I think that we're going to wrap it up there. But I want to say huge thank you to Pamela with Icicle Brewing Company for joining us. It was great to see you and hear from you. And thank you to everyone that's, you know, joined us for the first time or has come back for a second or third happy hour with us. Tomorrow is going to be our last one. We're going to be talking about the roadless rule, and we really hope that you can join us. So hopefully we'll see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Thanks, everybody.